One, if that's all right. Our first stop is not very far away. It's the Paradise Hotel, and we're going to have a presentation there before we actually do the rounds of the island, stopping at various spots. So I'll pop down. So, John, have you all met John? Have you been on the poetry bus? Yes, fantastic.
Paradise Hotel again.
During the voyage has been the least exceptional and has held out such encouragement to them upon their behaving properly as must render their situation much more comfortable than it could have been made at Port Jackson. He tells them they must behave well or risk being sent back to Port Jackson. It went through a civil ceremony with Jamison when they arrived a couple of weeks after the 6th of March 1788 to be married. So they essentially went through 2 settlement actions looking like, given some artistic license for proportions and things. But this is it. It's this cluster of timber dwellings that are around the hillside there. That's a close-up of what the granary looked like. So that's going to be pretty typical. That's going to be pretty accurate too, I think, from George Raper. This one, sorry, I'll just quickly cut through my text here. Just quickly take it. This one's from 1795. You can see the growth of the settlers' lots. And sorry, that one was out of place because this is jumping back to Arthur's Vale in 1790 by Bradley. So you can see the clearing that's happened there. And that's William Bradley's own depiction of the clearing that's occurred in the valley, because that's the area where they really want to get those crops in. I'm flicking through these very quickly. I'll come back to them when we come back here afterwards. But 1793, this is our township. So this is what, when we can head down to Kingston just in the next 5 minutes, we'll look further at these. And 1795. But so all of the lots that people are given to work to begin with are actually in Sydney itself, in that small township area. And then Nathaniel, for instance, is given his to make a lot further out from, we're actually going to visit his land. In January 1792, William is born. It's August 1792.
Sort of the original track people came in on. Long Bridge Road. Flagstaff Hill Walk. That's what this is.
It actually drained the swamp. That's what they just said in 1790. The other old one so just wanted to make sure we just walk up there. It's peaceful and quiet. Get a feel for it. Entry that records what happened with the death of the twins, and then of course there's that beautiful letter that Nathaniel sends home to his father that actually doesn't make it to his father. It's written by it's meant to be delivered by King when he returns to England, but we know that it was found in King's personal effects, so it never actually made it there. So it's dated 20th of October 1796. You can head off if you want to. Yep. And it says that after so long an absence, an account of my state of health and situation will no doubt be pleasing to you, and I have the pleasing satisfaction to acquaint you that me and my family are all in perfect good health, and thank God, and my own industry are very comfortably situated. My family at present time consists of my wife and 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. I had the unspeakable misfortune to lose 2 twin girls by an accident, which, could it be represented in a proper manner, would awaken the most tender feelings and melt the hardest heart into sympathy. It was by the fall of a pine tree which stood near my house, which buried my lovely infants in the ruins, and almost my worthy partner, who nearly escaped with her life, for she was dragged down into a situation in which her life was to spare. Oh, Father, I'm not able to express the poignant grief I felt in this very shocking scene without dwelling long upon the subject together with the variety of misfortunes that I have surmounted them, misfortunes liable to those who transgress the laws of their country. I can now with truth assert that I have surmounted them all, and with the blessings of God, I hope that in the course of 2 years to return to my native country with a competency for life. I am master of carpenter on this island, for which I receive a salary of £50 per annum. I have 2 freeholds consisting of 75 acres of land. I should be wanting very much to gratitude if I did not acquaint you that my present good fortune is to be imputed in a measure to the humane goodness and assiduous respect of Lieutenant Governor King, who has ever promoted my interests since my residence on this island. Perhaps it will not be unentertaining to you to give you some account of this island, which I believe to be one of the most fertile in the world. It produces 2 crops in the year, one of wheat and another of Indian corn. The crops of wheat is rather precarious on account of the variance of the climate. Potatoes and vegetables of all kinds are produced in great abundance and can grow in any month of the year, provided there is little rain when planted. The wheat harvest generally commences about December, which is for the most part excessive hot, often accompanied with thunderstorms. The Indian corn is usually planted in June and January. This island produces several kinds of fruits, watermelons, bananas, a rich and something or other red, which is lost, can't get the word, red berry called tomatoes or gooseberries, a native cone which grows upon vines. Grapes, figs, apples, lemons, and various kinds of other fruits coming to great perfection. Fish of excellent quality are plentiful on this coast. Hogs are bred here in great quantities, poultry without great quantity of sheep and goats. I had the honour, under the direction of Lieutenant Governor King, to construct a watermill for the government and a windmill on my own estate. Just finishes with... I have permission from His Honour Lieutenant Governor King for you or any of my friends to wait upon him who will afford any necessary assistance you may require. Do not fail in embracing the first opportunity in writing to me. Remember me to all my family and friends and relations. Farewell, and may God bless you, Almighty God bless you, from your affectionate son, Nathaniel Lucas. P.S. Remember me to my brothers and sisters and to all inquiring friends, and any one of my relations may wait upon Governor King, who will acquaint you particularly of my situation. And I mean, he's obviously, I think he's not going to tell his dad that things are tough here. But you know, it's perhaps there's a little grain of salt that you take with that description of everything growing so easily. But it's 1796 by then, and things are growing more easily. Life is more settled. It's interesting that even in 1796, he's still considering that he will come home and bring the family home. And that description of the loss of the twins is just great there. We're going to have morning tea. It's going to be quick. We'll be sort of 15 minutes or so. We're just going to use these tables. There is a toilet block across the road there if you need it. And when we hop back, we're actually going to go onto the land, their land block, and we're able to go out and I can show you approximately where the twins deceased.
Well, we were here yesterday for the reenactment. No one's out swimming at the moment. And it's windy, the wind's coming up, and we're about to have our morning tea over here. Sort of island out there.
It has marked
In
on
the blue line over there.
This is 1795, and it has marked on the point here a windmill. That's Nathaniel's windmill. No, nothing remains of it now. But basically, when you're standing out from the point there, yes, exactly, a very good spot for a windmill. The landscape has changed a bit out that way. But we're just quickly going to go now to the site of Nathaniel's water mill that he was responsible for overseeing. 1795, becoming the colony's first miller. And when Nathaniel returned to Sydney, he took basically a form of windmills and was responsible for building windmills there. So this is our second settlement watermill site. Nathaniel's watermill was, see across here you've got the area just over here, and basically you've got, if you come back here to have a little walk, you can see there's a sort of a spillway there. You can see the little green hut with the little roof. So that's the site of the first watermill that Nathaniel built here. Really important, because you can imagine the capacity to then, the amount of grain, the grinding that they could have got through, vastly improved just hand milling. And the number of mouths that they needed to feed was absolutely steadily growing. So you went from, your 23 in 1788, turned to a couple of hundred by 1789, up to 500 after the wrecking of the Sirius. You've got over 1,000 people that are here by it's about 1796. So big numbers to feed, and they needed to have this working. Could you please, Fanny, take us, and then we're heading up Cascade Road.
Up Cascade Road?
Yes.
We'll just straight up the road.
Yes, please.
Oh,
Yeah.
the ducks?
Up Bill Road. Yeah, and
They're the ones getting released here.
And this area, for those that will stay on the bus, this area as it runs up through the back here, and you can see it very clearly when you're actually down on the property, it's Grenville Valley. So this is where this night watch area was that Nathaniel was responsible for, and also Edward Garr. Ike Bataille has very kindly told us we're happy for us to go in. And I'll just point out though, if you do decide to come in, I'll help you to walk over the cattle group, but we just have that concrete section there. This side's the widest.
That wouldn't have been his house, though. No, this is burnt down, remember?
Yeah, no,
Just this isn't in the
Friends, stay here next time you come.
Oh, yeah. Ah, okay. Okay.
yeah, no, I'm just
Not where we are with the view. Can't beat that, I don't think.
And that's where the house would have been. The current owner, his grandparents actually altered the course of the river just a little bit, and it came in at a greater angle a little bit. So the land was sloping in this way a bit.
You can see a part
Yeah,
of it
not
here.
yes, and that's obviously another channel that's been done at a different stage. So this is, you can see if you come back up through here, Grenville Valley. So there were farms that went right through this area. Here, through here to there, yes.
We live in New England, we're a crooked tour.
It's Governor Hamilton Local Tree right. And we'll tour for the Carbon Research Centre. Take me in this. I'll show you where it is. In fact, you can, opposite the golf course, I'll show you the driveway. You can drive into the little picnic area, and you can have a sit there and have a cup of tea, and you can see the stretch of land going through. Yes. The building that now has the intensity in it, which is the reason why. You can see this wooden fence here on our left-hand side, and there's a little driveway. That block up there, you can see that's the beginning of Nathaniel's and Olivia's block, and running in towards the house. So you can drive up into here, have a little wander around. There's a nice building spot there. The reason just for taking us this way is that we're heading around now into the area that's called Music Valley. Jacob Villette and Harper have their box here. And this is the property that I was saying that you can still see the fossil remains and scent there of Jacob Villette's house. It's a beautiful property. So this coastal road, Nathaniel and Olivia would have walked, Nathaniel in particular, very regularly. Oh yes. So this property here, the shed that we're seeing here, this is the beginning of Music Valley. So this is the beginning of Jacob Villette and Anne Harper's property was side by side. And as you look up the valley, as we drive up, their property actually backed onto the one that we're living now. So that gets up and finishes up on top of that ridge up there. So this whole valley up here. And you can see this road here, right here on your left hand side. That's part of I'm not sure that's exactly it, but further down is the original track that went through. The first track that they made was through Four Bay, where they first of all thought they were going to build a second landing place. They second a landing place, but eventually they Yes, that's right. So you can see the cleared section right down there in the middle there. Oh yeah. And as you're heading up to the cleared start, that's Edward Garner's property. Yes. It's a beautiful property in there. It's quite defensive. You can see still rich farming. And a very protected area too to have that house. Cascade Road up where the school is. Cascade Road, of course, is the one that we're going to not take us down to Cascade. Because I think you can take yourselves down there to actually see the place, of course, where there's currently the work on the Cascade Pier to upgrade it. This is the depiction I can show you of the water mill that we came from. And that's a lovely side view there of the pier. You can see how humble it is, but that's the main pier, and that's even a good number of years. I think that's 1795, so that's just around the time when it's been done. Phillipsburg, thanks Fanny, that's the block that's there. And we'll head back to Paradise now. We've just got a small presentation that one of you was the area that was established. Take a tip from me and don't ever wear one of these headsets. If you follow this road all the way down and you've got the last little road on the left before you hit the pier is called Harper's Road. Take a left there and drive round into the area called Cockpit, which is the reserve and the area that's there on your right-hand side. It's all just hugging around the top of that hill there. That's the first area that, if you had a female convict, she possibly could have been involved in the flax production work there. That's because of the waterfall that was there and the flowing creek that was there. That's the reason why that little township sprung up. And of course, I'm sure that by now you know the reason why Norfolk was opened was to try and get that naval building base. The supplies were to come from here, and flax and pine trees were to provide the masts and the sailcloth. That's the area that a number of timber cottages were sprung up from. And if you had a female convict that was here in those early days, then very likely she would have been working down there in that area. The archaeologists...
Yes, I'm leaving the Hibiscus Regal shortly. Let's go on the lantern tour. Lantern lit tour. It might be a lantern lit ghost tour. I'm not really sure. But anyway, it's Wednesday night for that. It sounds like my bus arriving now. Seems we have all these lanterns.
Have you got one, Rob? No, I've got enough for everyone.
Roundabout. Where's the roundabout?
Yes, the roundabout. One more.
Australia's most haunted territory. It's also the 4th most haunted island in the world. You can goggle that if you don't believe me. You want to know how to goggle? Sometimes we come in at number 4, sometimes number 7. We do seem to have a surplus of spirits. Now the Norfolk word, gozy, hooey, hooey, ugly, ugly, oogly, googly thing, is Hookamillish. Hookamillish is our bogey monster. We also have Daddy Dickens. He died whilst digging a well. He is the ghost that keeps the kids safe and away from the wells. Billy Tin is often seen down Brecon Bridge and out on Bennett's Flat. Now there's a Native American lady that visited about 5 years ago. She said the reason we have a surplus of spirits is there's no portal. There's no departure point from which the spirits of the dead can leave us. So they just continue to accumulate. In more recent times, a lady on tour has said to me, it's because so many of the burial sites have been disturbed. And when I thought about that, I thought she's quite right. In even more recent times, again, an island man has said to me, it's because the Pitcanners took so much of the stone out of the old settlement that they took the spirits with them.
We're at the old cemetery.
Very first, the second tour that I did, I had something happen on the first one as well. The second tour, there was a couple on board. They were spiritualists. They said nothing in the cemetery. Later on, she said to me, are there hills behind the cemetery? And you can almost see the outline of the hills. And you know, most of you would know that they're there. I said, yes, there are. She said, well, whilst I was in the cemetery up I saw a man in a blue coat with a sabre, a long sword. He was showing me how they cut their heads off. I'm thinking, I'm glad I didn't see that. I'm a natural born skeptic. I was thinking your family was?
Wainwright.
Wainwright.
Eleanor Wainwright.
Yes.
And she had this child, Mary Ann,
Yes,
in Sydney to someone off the Sirius,
yes,
to a seaman, and then she came here on the Sirius and had to swim ashore
yes.
with the baby, obviously,
Ooh.
which we didn't know much about, and then that baby died.
Oh,
And then the next baby she had, she also called Mary Ann,
yes,
and that one according to what I
To
was
the
reading
same
today,
person?
had one of those Lucases as her supposed father. It was all hush hush on the
Which
birth
Lucas,
certificate.
though?
James.
James Lucas. So was that one of the Olivia and Nathaniel's sons?
Must have been, but you know, I can't
At a
understand.
young age, you would think. There was a John Lucas here in that earlier settlement period.
Yeah. And then she had another 2 children. She shacked up with a guy called Thomas Guy,
Oh, okay.
who was on the 2nd Fleet into Sydney and was out here. And then they all went down to Tasmania.
As they did.
As they did, and they did
Where
very
did
well
they-
in Tasmania.
Where did they settle in Tasmania?
New Norfolk, of course,
Yep,
that was
I've been
originally
there.
meant to be called Elizabethtown.
Yes,
But,
after Elizabeth Macquarie.
Was that it? Not Queen Elizabeth, I
No,
think.
Elizabeth Macquarie.
Well, they said yes. It was meant to be called Elizabeth, but we said no.
Yeah, no, yes, exactly. They put their foot down.
Yeah.
I think rightly so.
Oh, Colleen McCullough is here.
Her favourite word, sometimes began with a word. Fruit, she said frequently. Now, she was also a skeptic. A skeptic who had experience. Now, before she got married, someone used to sit on her bed. After she got married, that's what.
Well, I'm sure my mother said that she knew her
Knew Colleen? Perhaps she did.
before she came here.
Yeah, perhaps she did. So, this is a story of Dennis Doherty. He was the longest convict. This mound, it's the site of a mass burial following a mass execution in 1946. It's the result of the cooking pot riot. And on the 13th of October, 12 men broke the gallows. 6 days later, a 13th man. They're buried in a disused first settlement saw pit outside of Tallows Ground. The ringleader of that uprising was William Jackie Westwood. He said, "Follow me, boys, who follow me to the gallows." Some say the greatest crime is that Catholics and Protestants are buried together. Jackie, from his condemned cell 2 days before he was to die, wrote that 4 men were innocent of the crime for which they were to be hung. Martin Cash, he said that 11 men were innocent. That's the greatest crime. Now, when we were growing up, we lived in the legend. The legend of Jackie. It's easy to live with the legend. Legend has it that he escaped. He swims to Phillip Island, he beats a boatload of soldiers in hot pursuit. He's an Olympic swimmer. He climbs to the very highest peak. It's still known as Jackie today. As the soldiers were about to nab him, he jumps to his death. By virtue of that, he is eternally free. Now, many is the islander had seen the ghost of Jackie, coalescing in the lake island. It could not have been. They took a death mask, they did a ground penetrating radar survey, they put 13 wooden stakes up at this end of the mound. He was buried here. In the late 1820s there was a prisoner who did jump to his death. Now from about October onwards, it's a very long tradition amongst the island men to load up their fishing boats with beer and fish hooks, go out to Phillip Island on secret men's business. I think they secretly catch a couple of fish and drink a boatload of beer. Yeah. But it's a secret. That's a secret.
No. Yeah. So the superintendent in charge of the prisoners was the most ghostly place on the island. It still picks it up pretty well. Servants' quarters.
You're welcome to have a look if you like. Yeah, it's a reflection. There's no window.
Servants' quarters in there.
So they all just lived in there. That was, they slept and everything.
Restored, are they? No, as is now.
Making sure no one's missing. I'm not allowed to go MIA on this tour. So I'm not coming back to get you.
Come down across that. We're going up to the other house now. Fascinating.
It feels really, really nice in here.
It does, yeah.
It feels really nice. Sometimes it doesn't feel anything. Sometimes it feels awful.
Yeah, I feel
trying to work out what kept happening, I'm not sure which. And then for 3 decades it was the police sergeant's residence. When it was the police sergeant's residence, I had a friend, he befriended the police sergeant's son, who was invited down for a video and burger night. And he went to sit in one of the double-seater lounges, and they said, "Oh, you can't sit there, that's where Isaac sits." Anyway, he's a really easygoing fellow. He just said he just shrugs and he moves along, but about 6:30 the seat next to him depressed. Now in October 1877, the whales had come in close to Cascade. Isaac's boat was put in the water, made fast to a whale off Ball Bay. By midnight nothing was seen of Isaac's boat, so they put a second boat in the water. Just before dawn another 2 boats. What was left of Isaac's boat was soon seen limping in. It had been stove in by the calf of the whale. Isaac had died from exposure and exhaustion. He was the kind of man who would have wanted to be home with his family every night, as regular as clockwork. Now, a lot of people think the only time anything is ever going to happen is if it's the witching hour and the full moon. Nothing is further from the truth. Things happen to people at any time of the day or night. This compound ahead of us is the new military barracks. There was an old restoration worker, his name was Wiggy. Some of you might have met Wiggy. He was working away late on this particular afternoon, and he happened to glance up to the bell tower and turret. So if you follow the compound wall past the last palm, you will see the bell post and turret. We, on top of that turret that afternoon, saw an officer and a soldier standing. He kind of did a double take, and he thought, either I'm seeing 2 men that have been dead for over 100 years, or someone's having a lend to me. He goes into the turret. There's no stairs, there's no ladder, there's no platform. There is no way 2 men could have been standing on top of that turret that afternoon. In 1834, the biggest uprising this settlement ever saw happened in this area in front of us. It was 2 months in the planning, so it was 3 months in the planning. It involved over 200 convicts. They were going to skin alive the deputy and the commandant, so they're going to quarter the deputy and commandant, hang their bodies in the trees, let the birds pick their bones clean. They were going to skin alive the principal overseer of works. His name was Aaron Price. They were going to have their way with whichever women they could find, and then they were going to hightail it out of here in the next brig to come into Sydney Bay. It was put down fairly quickly, not without loss of life. It is possible those 2 men lost their lives in that uprising. However, dead men tell no tales. And so strangers really stood out. Now, this man is also a counsellor, so you would not think that he is prone to flights of fancy. He sees a man standing on those top of the steps, on the top of those steps, and he can describe him in very vivid detail. He's wearing a soft